Today we shall cover two novels I read in order that cannot each make for its own video. Ottilie A Liljencrantz was an American writer of Norse historical romances. She was born in 1876 in Chicago, the daughter of Gustav Matthias Liljencrantz and Adelina Charlotte Hall. She wrote plays in 1895, staging her in fairyland with more than 100 children for the benefit of the Home for Destitute Crippled Children. She died in 1910 following cancer surgery at age 34. In 1906 she published Randvar the Songsmith, a romance of Norumbega. Randvar, the titular songsmith, here meets Helvin, the Jarl's son, next to the ill-omened Black Pool, who, after killing a wild hound, shoots him a death glare and tries to kill him. Soon after he meets and falls in love with Brynhild, Helvin's haughty sister, bruising one of her suitors who thought to be condescending in the process. Returning to Freya's tower, the home Randvar's father built for Freya after he killed her father when he refused to give her in marriage. And there he meets his foster mother Erna, who, having second sight, warns Randvar of a great danger to himself from someone's other bestial self. And yet he becomes friends with Helvin anyway after he becomes the new Jarl, and somehow does not realize that Helvin murdered his father by the pool, tearing his throat out for almost the entire book. Even when seeing Helvin's violent, frothing outburst of animalistic rage, which end in him going fully mad and wanting to kill Randvar to keep his secret, but not before tearing out the throat of another man. This sadly gets little attention in the book itself, as most of it is spent on Randvar's courtship of Brynhild, who is both cold and haughty and can become a vicious shield maiden if need be. But the problem is we are to believe that courting her will be very difficult due to her pride. But then the next chapter we already see her having promised to wed him. The book ends with Helvin conveniently dying, so Randvar can become the Jarl, and the conflict is easily set aside just like with the issue of Brynhild. This seems to be a theme for the author: when something is difficult, just make it easy. Also, the story taking place in a medieval Norwegian colony in America is utterly pointless. The one Native American character shows up only once to disappear for the rest of the book, and the other Native Americans in the region are only mentioned about twice. It may as well have taken place in Norway. We did cover Mark Hansome in episode 206. However, since then, Hansome's identity had been uncovered after more than 70 years. John Harrington had uncovered an article in the Kensington News and West London Gazette from 1954, which reveals Hansom to have been Ronald Murden, author of books on stuttering. He was born in 1899 in Marylebone, married Dorothy Worthy in 1927 and died in 1981. All this information came together via James Doig on Wormwoodiana. Now, Hansome's 1939 The Shadow on the House was part of Wagner's list of best horror novels, but is leagues below Master of Souls, which we covered before. To be frank, I don't know why Wagner put this on his list at all. It isn't terrible, it's just painfully average. Martin Strange meets Sylvia Vernon and falls in love with her, so much so he even tells her lover and his own friend Christopher he could kill him to get her. Then Christopher is murdered and Martin comforts Sylvia, waiting for the chance to ask for her hand. But then his pompous ass of a cousin Mick shows up and determines to take her from Martin out of spite. But then he too dies by falling off a balcony, just like another man had in the same room some 60 years ago when trying to steal the wife of another Strange. Martin thinks there is some demonic being hovering about and fulfilling his every evil whim, but he marries Sylvia anyway. But it turns out she hates him and was made to marry him by her aunt. But well, apart from her saying Martin didn't ask her hand until after his inheritance, which is not true, and though she herself didn't tell him she loved anyone else and kept his suit alive by asking for time to consider, and because he had emotionally supported her for 6 months after Christopher's death, I found she was being a vicious and unfair fiend to him and do not give her any sympathy at all. Now it turns out that Martin had done those murders in his sleep in a state of pure malicious madness, inherited in a strange family since the time of Mad Roderick, whose portrait testifies to the fact the man was insane. As Martin tries to throw Sylvia's love out the window, he falls and breaks his own neck. The novel does not go into the insanity theme as much as it could, and the fact that Martin is the murderer is absolutely evident for well over half the book. But you have to sit there and watch the characters stumble about like children, fully baffled by the solution of this great mystery, even the most disappointing Wagner picks at a good beginning at least.